Hey guys, this is West Coast Taco. Welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be going over the top 5 reasons why I think it might be a great time to buy a Toyota Tacoma. If you guys are new to this channel, welcome. If you guys have seen other videos, I hope you guys are enjoying them, and I hope that's the reason you're staying tuned. If you guys haven't already, feel free to hit that subscribe button and notification button to stay up to date and up to speed on the new videos I'll be posting in the next coming weeks, and then all the other videos coming out in the future. So without further ado, let's kind of dive into this. To give you guys a quick backstory, I purchased this Toyota Tacoma mid-October of last year. So it's just a few months old that I've had it in my possession. This is a 2020 TRD off-road 4x4. And you know, some of the reasons that I purchased this vehicle are going to be some of the reasons I list why I think it's a great time to buy a Tacoma. But for the reasons and maybe some of the points that I don't touch on, I would love to hear your guys' feedback, what your guys' thoughts are. Feel free to throw them in the comments section for other viewers to take a look at. I think it'd be helpful. So the first reason I think it's a great time to buy a Toyota Tacoma is the new generation is going to be coming out, guys. For any of you guys that have been following Toyota, if you guys have Tacomas and you're kind of keeping up to speed with the latest and greatest updates, that 4th gen Tacoma is coming out here very soon. And you know, for me, and I'm sure a lot of you, I'm not super thrilled about the idea of them going away from the V6 and going to the V4 with the turbo. Maybe I'm just old school. Maybe the newness just kind of makes me a little worried, but whenever I hear the word turbo, that just makes me nervous in general. You know, turbos, at least from what I've experienced and what I've seen, and maybe yours is different, so I'd love to hear about it in the comment section. Turbos do not have a reputation of being very reliable. Typically, when you hear about a turbo, it's very expensive, it's not very durable, and when it goes out, it's going to cost you a lot of money, and your truck is pretty much stranded without it. And I understand what Toyota's trying to do. I get that they are trying to increase the MPGs, they're trying to increase the emissions efficiency, while at the same time not, you know, taking away a tremendous amount of power from the owner of the vehicle. But I feel like when you are sacrificing reliability and durability for those reasons, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'd much rather lose a couple MPGs. I'd much rather, you know, not have the greatest fuel economy and maybe a couple of other issues, but have that reliability and durability. I mean, for most of us that buy Toyota, that's the whole reason we buy them, is because they're known for being reliable and durable. And the funny thing about it is that as technology becomes more advanced and things become, you know, supposedly more refined, you think that their products would just become more and more reliable as time progresses. I mean, if you look back at the history of the Tacoma, you know, this is the 3rd gen Tacoma, but the Toyota pickup itself, you know, they started manufacturing the Hilux back in like 1964. And then it turned into the Toyota pickup a little bit later on after that. And then the Tacoma wasn't officially branded as a Toyota truck until mid-1994, when it went from being called the Toyota pickup to the Toyota Tacoma. And during that span of years from, you know, I'd say the late 60s till, you know, the early 2000s, Toyota they just took it for the win. I mean, it's everybody that heard the name Toyota and Tacoma, or just Toyota, and for anything that had Toyota on it, there was this no doubt, no hesitation, no second thought that this car or this vehicle, whatever type of model you bought from them, was just going to run forever and ever if you took care of it. And even for those that didn't take great care of it, they still just ran. They were just workhorses. So, you know, they made their name, they became famous because of what they did with their vehicles, the reliability that you could count on them. But I'm getting a little nervous because I feel like, you know, they're kind of going in the direction that a lot of other vehicles have gone in. And I feel like we're going to start losing that dependability, that reliability, that durability that made us all fall in love with the Toyota company as a whole. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope that Toyota proves me wrong, and that there are no issues with this new turbo, and that there are no issues with their, you know, upcoming models that are going to be released here in these new generations. But like, I've seen a lot of feedback on people that bought these new Tundras that went from the V8, now they're down to the V6 with the turbo, and I'm getting a lot of pushback, or at least that's what I'm kind of seeing from people that have purchased them. So I understand where Toyota's going, like I said, but it makes me nervous. So if you guys are in the market or have been thinking about getting in the market for a Tacoma, and you like the 3rd gen, my thoughts are now that, at this point in time, they're not going to make any more trims or different packages for the Tacoma. They've got everything from the SR, SR5, TRD Sport, TRD Off-Road, TRD Pro, and then I believe they released that Trail Edition mid 2022. So, unless there's something crazy that I'm not foreseeing or anybody else is, Toyota's done releasing their packages for these trucks, as well as the colors that they're going to come out with. And they've got some great color choices. I went with the Midnight Black Metallic, or maybe it was Metallic Midnight Black. But long story short, those 3 words, in some way, shape, or form, and whether it's that order, different order, that's how you describe this paint. There's the Lunar Rock, which I think is really cool. There's the Cement. There's the Desert Tan. Voodoo Blue, Solar Octane, the Electric Lime. There's all these various colors that you can get, and I mean, it's really up to you. Whatever you want to get, you can practically get it. So if there was a certain color you're waiting on, if you were waiting for something, if it's not out, it's most likely not going to come out. So at this point in time, you've got different types of packages that you can play with, that you can find. I also don't know, from what I've heard, trying to order a new Tacoma right now is pretty much not happening, as Toyota's ramping up the production for that long-awaited 4th gen Tacoma. So if you're kind of on the edge and not really sure if now's a good time to buy a 3rd gen Tacoma, I would probably say now's probably the best time. I mean, like I said, not only is every package, every color, every trim that they're going to make for the 3rd gen most likely currently out, but people are going to start trading in their 3rd gens, getting ready for that 4th gen. And they might not be doing it right this moment, but it's going to be happening soon. And as soon as that 4th gen gets ready to come out, you're going to start seeing some heavy traffic. So if you guys want to wait a few months, wait to the end of the year and kind of see what's going to be happening with this 4th gen, go for it. But I think, right now, as we're kind of in this little middle ground between the 3rd gen finishing up production and the 4th gens getting manufactured and starting to, get ready to hit those lines before long, I think right now might be a really good time to start really thinking about doing this if you've been on the fence. So my first reason is I just have a lot of hesitations about the 4th gen. And this is probably going to be one of the last year, guys, that this V6 is available for the Tacoma. So if you want that V6 and you don't want to settle for that V4 with the turbo, and you have reservations like I do, that's my first reason. The V6 is going away, at least from what I'm seeing, from what I'm reading. So, be aware of that. My second point, my vehicle is an automatic transmission, but another rumor I've heard and read about is that the manual transmission, guys, is going away for this 4th gen Tacoma. Now, I don't know if that's 100% true or not, but that's what I'm seeing, that's what I'm hearing. So there are still, several makes and models, I shouldn't say makes, but several models and trim packages of this Tacoma that you can get in a manual transmission. And if you guys like the manual transmission, I love them. I think they're great. I couldn't find one with what I was looking for in regards to my Tacoma. And I do use my Tacoma for a lot of work and commuting. I didn't really want to have to deal with the whole manual transmission while I'm in traffic. But if you guys are looking for that, this is probably one of the last, I don't know. I mean, I guess they could always bring something back in the future. I'm not going to say they won't. But in my opinion, guys, this is probably going to be one of the last generations you're going to see a manual transmission on, at least from the factory. And like I said, they could surprise me. They could come out with one for the 4th gen for all I know, and we just have no idea that it's going to happen. But for me, that would be a concern. If you guys have been wanting a manual transmission, I wouldn't wait. I wouldn't let another manual transmission get bought by somebody else and used and abused, and have issues with that. So if you can find a low mileage, well-maintained Tacoma that's got a manual transmission, I wouldn't hesitate, guys, because the longer these things are out there, the more wear and tear they're going to have on them. It's just the name of the game. So with that, keep that in mind. So number 3 is my biggest concern with some of the other stuff is the technology issues with the new models. So when the 2016 Tacoma came out, or the 3rd gen, there's always those hiccups, those problems I was kind of mentioning in the beginning of the video. A lot of people are having issues with the transmission, with it shifting, delay engagement, all sorts of different little things and quirks that Toyota, to my understanding, ironed out and have fixed and reconciled with in regards to the buyers and owners at this time. So a lot of that troubleshooting that needed to be done, was taken care of. And so when you get that new generation of Tacoma coming out, I have no doubt there's going to be issues. I'm sure there'll be some concerns and issues with maybe the turbo, transmission, whatever they do to this vehicle, and whatever part that they decide to change and kind of, I wouldn't use maybe the word re-innovate, but they're going to have parts that they're going to take and rip off of this truck, and they're going to completely change everything about it. And when you do that, there's always that concern and issue that you're probably going to have some trial and error issues as the truck hits the line, like they did with the 2016 models. And another thing I think about, which is kind of funny, is that technology. When you look back at like what made the Tacoma great, it was so simple. There wasn't all this technology. There wasn't all this extra comfort. And when I mean comfort, I mean like seat warmers and steering wheel warmers and all this crazy climate control stuff, and like the radio, the Bluetooth, and I get it. A lot of that stuff is very convenient, and I understand why they put it on there. And heck, I mean, that's probably a huge portion as to why people really enjoy these vehicles now. But as time progresses, these vehicles are becoming very, very expensive. I think for a brand new, fully loaded, TRD Pro or a TRD off-road that has the advanced and premium packages, you're looking, for me, from what I'm seeing brand new, somewhere between the high 40s to low to mid 50s, depending on which package you go with. So you're dropping a significant amount of money on these vehicles. And to think that you're buying a vehicle for all this money and then you're going to be having issues with it at the 10, 20, 30,000 mile mark, and maybe even sooner, and hopefully not, but it's just a lot of people when they buy these newer Tacomas, especially the first year of the new generations, there's always that stuff that comes out and frustrations. And I'm not saying that's for every Tacoma. I'm sure you'll meet a lot of people that have 2016 and 2017 Tacomas that have had zero issues, and that's great. And I'm not saying that every brand new Tacoma that's coming off the line is going to have a bunch of issues. I'm just saying that, from what I've seen, from what I've heard, and I'm sure a lot of you are in the same boat, a lot of times when a new generation comes out, there are just a lot of issues and concerns that people have with the new models. And I think that's definitely something we should take into consideration when going over these points. And so my fourth reason, mods. For you guys that are, really into customizing your Tacomas, you guys are, you guys enjoy modding it out, for lack of better words, and adding those accessories. With the new generation coming out, there's not going to be a lot of mods for quite some time. And I have no doubt that once it's produced, all of these aftermarket companies that specialize in, creating lift kits and accessories and mods for the Tacoma, they're going to jump on that bandwagon and they're going to start cranking out and trying to do things as quickly as possible. But it's just going to take time. I mean, it's just not going to be a quick process because the vehicles have to get circulated. There's going to be trial and error. There's going to have to be the manufacturing and the machining of the parts. There's going to be a lot of things that's going to be required for them to make these aftermarket parts for them. But, these third-gen Tacomas, they're going to be around for a long, long time. And a lot of these aftermarket companies, they are making plenty of mods for the second-gen Tacomas as well. So, I mean, it's not as plentiful as a third-gen. I would say the third-gen Tacoma is probably, in my opinion, the most easiest mid-sized truck to mod and accessorize because of all of the parts and aftermarket accessories that are available for it. But, for this third-gen Tacoma, I don't see them just like screeching production on these vehicles in regards to mods as soon as the fourth gen is released. So I foresee them making a lot of these mods for years and years and years to come. So that's another thing to take into consideration is that, the fourth gen is not going to have a lot of stuff that's going to be available right away. So if you guys want to scoop up a new or used Tacoma and you guys are looking to do some modifications to it, well, I would say now is as good as time as any to be able to have the availability of going out and finding almost any mod you could potentially want for your Tacoma. So keep that in mind. I think that's something to really take into consideration as well. And number 5, this is kind of my 5th and final reason for now. And like I said, there's several more that I think that you guys could probably elaborate on, but I don't want to make this video too long-winded, is that as they're beginning to produce the 4th gen, guys, the chances of you guys buying a brand new 3rd gen is going to become very slim. So if you guys are more of a, hey, I like to buy my vehicles brand new, I like to be the first one to take it off the lot, to put the first few 100 miles on it, then your time is ticking, guys, because they're not going to be making too many more of these. So if you guys are wanting to get a brand new one, now is the time. If you guys are waiting like I did to buy a used one that's kind of got exactly what you wanted, but you didn't want to pay for that brand new sticker price that comes with these when you drive them off the lot, then I would say, yeah, you still have a little bit of time, but keep this in mind. The longer you wait, the longer it's going to be to find that used Tacoma that has the low miles, that's only had one owner, that hasn't been in an accident. All of these things I take into consideration when buying a used vehicle. And these are usually my typical criteria. I want a vehicle that's got low miles, that hasn't been in an accident, and that has one prior owner. And if I can usually find one that's got 6 to 12 months of warranty left on it, that's just another plus. I mean, I like that. So those are typically the 3 things I go for when I'm looking for a used vehicle. And so far, I haven't had any issues when purchasing used vehicles. And I've had this Tacoma a few months, so it's going to take some time, to see what pops up, if there's any things that I haven't been able to kind of discover or notice in regards to transmission, engine issues. But so far, guys, it's been running great. I haven't had any complaints on my end to report. So there you are, guys, my 5 top reasons. So, just to kind of recap everything, the new generation's coming out. I think there's gonna be a lot of issues with it. So if you're wanting that new generation of Tacoma and you just would rather go for that and hold off on the 3rd, or maybe you have a 3rd and you just want to get that new one, I get it. No harm, no foul. I think the 4th gen is going to be interesting. I'm a little nervous about a lot of things, but we'll see what shakes out. I hope I'm wrong on some of my concerns. Number 2 was that transmission. If you guys want that manual transmission, I think it's going away after the 3rd gen. At least I don't think it's going to be a common thing if they make any at all going forward. Number 3 was the technology issues, reliability in regards to parts, interior, exterior, powertrain. What kind of hiccups are going to happen right off the bat once the vehicle is produced. So at this point in time, the 3rd gen is probably refined and is as good as it's going to get. So if you're looking to get a later model 3rd gen, you're probably going to get a pretty decent vehicle that's got all the kinks worked out. Number 4 was the mods. If you guys are looking to accessorize, to add modifications to your truck, whether it's lifts, tonneau covers, rails, interior, I mean, you name it, there's probably not going to be as many mods as there are for the 4th gen as there already are for the 3rd gen for a very, very long time. And number 5, guys, was just the buying the new vehicle versus the used. And like I said, the new ones, they're going to start getting real slim. So if you guys wanted to get a brand new 3rd gen Tacoma, I would say do it quickly. I wouldn't wait too much longer because your pickings are going to get slim before long. Okay, guys, so I'm going to wrap this video up. Would love to hear you guys' feedback, comments. If you guys have any questions for me, if you guys have thoughts that you would want to maybe kind of bounce off of me or kind of get my take on something I didn't touch, would love to hear it. I am by no means affiliated with Toyota or Tacomas or any other brand. So everything I'm telling you guys is just my opinion as a owner of a 3rd gen Tacoma. But yeah, anything that you guys have or want to throw by me, I'd be more than happy to read up on it, take a look at it, and kind of give you some feedbacks based off of what you post. All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Any questions, once again, hit me up in the comments section. If you haven't subscribed, hit the notification button to stay up to speed. Highly recommend doing that if you're enjoying these videos. Talk to you guys soon. See ya.